Hello, I'm Wendy Lewis, founder and creator of AllySHIFT, and welcome to Wendy Wednesday. I hope that you had an opportunity to see our previous presentation of Wendy Wednesdays, where we announced that we are back, but back with bigger, better, and bolder ways for us all to become better allies. To learn more about what we have been doing, what we plan to do, please take a look at our website, www.theallyshift.com. For today, I am very pleased to announce that we are launching a new aspect of AllySHIFT called Treasure Not Buried. It is a generational reading series. Generational in that the folks that you meet in the chapters to come basically represent two sides of the same or a different coin. Chapter 1 will be a conversation about a book of choice between my grandson Mikey and me. So for today's conversation, we have chosen Black Boy Joy. And I can tell you, it really was just that. So Mikey and I will be discussing this great book, our perspectives and our experience, and I hope you enjoy it. Hello, welcome to Treasure Not Buried. I'm Wendy.
I'm Mikey.
And we are going to discuss a book today. But before we get started, I want to mention a little bit of a background to how we got here. Mikey and I talk about a lot of things. I'm his grandmother. And we both love stories. And I shared with him that our lifelong family tradition of education and books, reading books,
Right.
and comprehending and discussing those stories. So Mikey and I have this great adventure of challenging our minds and our imagination, but most importantly, our love for storytelling by Mikey leading a book club.
Right.
So today is our first selection. And our first selection is a wonderful book called Black Boy Joy. And Mikey, tell us a little bit more.
So Black Boy Joy, edited by Kwame Mbalia, is a book that features 17 artists, or I like to call them artists because I feel like the book is just art in itself. But it includes 17 books written by all of these authors and goes over different kind of stories, fictional or non-fictional, and just goes over amazing stories of all Black young men just like me who, stories like getting ready for school or being in spaceships and, them loving to go to, museums with their family or, preparing for amazing stuff like their birthdays and stuff. And a lot of it is just so relatable to everyone's life. And I feel like it's a story that someone will definitely relate to in there, no matter which one it is. There's so many to choose from. From the 17, including the introduction and the ending of it, I think it's so many choices that you can choose from. It's just endless, like, relations that you can find with the characters. And I just think anyone who picks up this book is going to love it. So, yeah.
Well, I love discussing it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And really what meant a lot to me was your selections and what were, just a few of your favorites. Like you said, it's 17 different selections in there, and each story just really meaningful. So the first one, which was my favorite for you to, tell me more about, is called
First Day Fly by Jason Reynolds. And I love First Day Fly, so much because the main character expresses how he loves, his birthday, but also the very first day of school. And it's not because of, having to go to class or meet new people, but mainly because of the new outfit he gets to put on every single time for the first day of school. And already I'm like immersed because it's like, oh, that's basically why I love first day of school so much too, So I just think, him explaining, everything he has to do to get ready as far as, ironing his shirts with hot shower and closing the door and stuff and his hand-me-down clothes from his brother. I just think it's also organic in a way because, most people, they wouldn't even bother including all the stuff they have to do to get ready for their first day of school. And just, again, with it being so relatable, with me having clothes, even sometimes from my sister or my dad, and with my mom always teaching me, how to iron my clothes and stuff since I was really young, like 6. I just think it's really relatable and a very beautiful book. And it's only one of the first 5 books to start off with. This is like chapter 5 of the book. So, I think Jason Reynolds really did a very good job with First Day Fly. So Jason Reynolds, born on December 6, 1983. He is 41 now. He has a lot of background to him, and I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple more books from him, even in the library at my school. He made a book, multiple books for Miles Morales, like Spider-Man. I had no idea. I was like, because I'm pretty sure I've read one of the books already from a long time ago. And it's just so much more that he's included, and because of that, he's also a New York best-selling author. And also a NAACP Image Award winner. And he has written over 20 books.
Wow.
So it's a lot of different categories that you can check out from him. I definitely should do more, searching, check out some more books of him. Cause, I never would have thought that someone can make a book like First Day Fly and then go to Spider-Man and then to, but that's authors, they just get to write whatever. So definitely will check him out.
And you know what, Mikey, you to me just demonstrated more than I could explain the beauty in treasure not buried. Right? So you start off reading a book, whether it's assigned to you or your grandmother has convinced you need to do so.
Right.
And you go in and you find just treasure.
Right.
You find value and you find stuff that's important to you that otherwise you would not have found. And what we gain from reading and knowing more about the authors is priceless. And so that's why Mikey and I are going to deliver some messages about this treasure not buried. So tell us about your next story.
So, Extinct by Dean Atta is a book about a kid who is fascinated with all types of stuff from very long time ago, like dinosaurs and, very ancient stuff, and more so animals, because he, even when he's speaking to himself in the book, he talks about how much he loves just different types of various dinosaurs that he is fascinated in. And even in one of the days coming up in the book, he's he constantly talks about writing postcards for the slideshow that he wants to show his teacher and everyone in class. But even with this, it kind of has a deeper meaning behind it because of one of the days when he's with his sister and his sister's girlfriend going to a museum. You never would have expected how deep and meaningful a book can be until you really, get to bond with the characters. And I felt like with this book, it never took a long time for me to really experience how the characters in the book feel, you know. From him being into the museum, you know, he's obviously not fascinated in whatever his sister's looking at, you know, which most of the time I would relate to, because it's like, where's the good stuff at, you know, like he's running around whatever, and he happens to see a dodo, and you know, because he's freaked out by it, but he's like, why does this feel so real? Why is the dodo so, you know, with the smell to the very realistic eyes, and you know, even then it's an animatronic, but it still feels like I'm in the, like, looking at a dodo like right in front of me through the glass. And again, with the smells and everything, with the touch and the different type of materials on the dodo, it's really reminiscent of his mom, who reveals that has passed away. And that's kind of when it hits you more, because it's, you know, when you can relate so much more with the character, from him not, you know, really caring about what his sister or his sister girlfriend really is more, you know, fascinated in. It really takes a toll on you, because it's like, wow, you know. And you would have never even guessed that his mother was gone, you know. So I actually wanted to kind of give props to Dean Atta, because of the way he already wrote the book. More in the poem format rather than just, you know, paragraph after paragraph. It's more so 3 lines within each paragraph, that I would say, and bold and italic words. And I think it just kind of, even just that alone kind of gives it more of a different tone and setting into the book. So I definitely wanted to put some appreciation towards that. But I think Dean Atta definitely did a very good job with the book, and I would definitely love to see more too from him. But more on Dean Atta, he was born in London, United Kingdom, on October 31st. And when I kind of did my research on him, I figured, oh, like, he's actually more of a poet than like just a normal like book writer, because he does a lot of like poetry and stuff. But he also was a part of the Education of Sussex in 2006. You know, most of these authors, you know, they're very how do I say it, like, very intelligent for you know, something that you would think is, you know, more so a kid's book.
Yeah.
So I think from someone that, like, all of the authors, excuse me, from them to be so educated and stuff, it's really, I find it really neat how they all kind of came together for this kid's book. But they were also Dean Atta, excuse me, also won the 2012 London Poetry Award.
Right.
Has also been featured on BBC Radio, which I kind of want to look more into myself, because I know we, you know, tend to look at the news most of the time.
Not all the time.
Well, I mean, you know, but was also featured in a or excuse me, also, well, yeah, it featured in the newspaper by independent newspaper as one of the 100 most influential LGBT people in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So I just think it's incredible how a story like that, you know, the author is, you know, it's so much more that you can learn about, because then it kind of makes you understand kind of where the story kind of comes from too. Because once you understand the author, you can kind of learn more about, you know, why they even wrote that story in the first place. So I think I think Extinct by Dean Atta was really incredible, but his background is even more impressive. And I would recommend him, even to, you know, just to check out any more stuff about him. But I think even then, the next story, you know, the author behind Coping, by Tochi Onyebuchi, is very good. The story to me, I felt like it was actually really good, but I felt like it kind of I felt like at times it could have like it was a little dragged out as far as how the story took place. Because once I realized that the story actually took place in COVID, that's why it made me understand it so much more as far as the characters and the storytelling behind it. But I already kind of started loving the story because as soon as the story starts, it talks about the kid who loves to skateboard so much and all the tricks he's doing and stuff. Talking about different types of tricks in the air and, do a backflip and whatever. But as soon as that happens, then it's immediately interrupted and paused into the next paragraph of him being in the hospital.
Yes.
And I guess he injured himself in a pretty bad way. But over time, as he's in the hospital and his mom is not even mad at him, but more so worried and scared for him. As he's in the hospital healing up, wondering when he can get back out so he can go back skateboarding. It kind of takes more of a serious turn from skateboarding into realizing how the world has changed too, to the point he can't even go skateboarding, because by the time he gets back out from the hospital, it is now in lockdown for COVID. And then this is kind of when I felt like it was dragged for me, because it kind of felt like it was hinted towards COVID rather than, them being like, oh, COVID just happened and it's a new virus and stuff. Because I felt like they more so hinted to it as, as they're on the way home, his mom and the son, they're talking about, oh, it's a ghost town out here. Why isn't anyone outside? Even the skate park is closed, everything is just, it's nobody is out here,
Right.
And a cool thing about it is, the son, he often likes to deliver food to the homeless and stuff with his friends, which he also skateboards around to make sure he delivers it in time for. But the thing that kind of told me, oh, they're in COVID, was when his mom told him, remember, 6 feet apart. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, like that kind of was like the final nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah.
But even then, because when he used to do like deliveries and stuff, I guess he kind of used to do it with his friends. And even then, he was kind of feeling lonely already because he kind of had to do everything by himself, skateboarding for the last delivery and stuff. But as he was on his way home, when he gets back home, he's speaking to his mom and he realizes how lonely he is now because his friends can't pick him up after his last delivery. And that's kind of when it set in for me and when it made it relatable for me, because I realized how things were kind of lonely for me too. And I feel like everyone at some point during lockdown was lonely. Even if you were still with your family and friends and stuff, you still felt lonely because you couldn't even go outside. Everything was closed. You couldn't even tell if you'd be able to step foot outside again, But that's kind of how I managed to feel for the character, mainly because he realizes he can't even see his friends or be around them anymore. And that's kind of why I was more so hesitant on mentioning this book at first, but once I realized and kind of realized the impact of what COVID had on this character and the story, that's why I was like, okay, I see what's happening now. So, but more so on Tochi Onibuchi.
Mm-hmm.
He was born on October 4th, 1987, 37 years old. He received the Alex Award from American Liberty Association and World Fantasy Award in 2021. Really impressive. He is also a formal civil rights lawyer. Would have never guessed. I thought that was also really impressive, but he earned degrees from Yale University and Columbia Law School. And also appears in Harvard Journal for African American Public Policy, which is like, okay, at this point, it's like once I'm doing my research, it's like, okay, like how much more incredible accomplishments like could you possibly have, right? Like I'm checking through, the websites and stuff, and it's like how much is there like about you that's just like it's just so incredible to me. Um so I think these three authors that I mentioned so far were very incredible for their parts in the book. And I think those three, the most that I've mentioned so far, definitely can't go unnoticed. Um, Kind of just because I feel like those three already were enough to kind of make you like connect with the book and never want to let go of it.
Right.
From, first day of school, I'm excited to get dressed and stuff. And, it may already, and let's say, even then it's the first day of school, but if it's like COVID or something, you can't even get to go to school and experience, having the first day of school outfit,
Right.
And then even to, having loved ones lost and stuff, from the book Extinct. I think it all kind of just like stuff, especially that big to someone, to anyone. It's just it's so easy to feel connected to the book and the characters and even the authors. Because you realize, everyone in the book is just exactly like us. And even then you feel like you are them.
Ah.
So,
it's so interesting, particularly coping when we were talking about the different stories. Initially wasn't one of your favorites.
it wasn't.
And the more we talked about each one, some became more or less of a favorite, but
Right.
there was no story that you really disliked.
Absolutely not.
Just they had a different impression. And I tell you, I love this collection of Black Boy Joy because I have to tell you, it is immeasurable joy for me as your grandmother to witness the range of emotion you experience,
Right.
by taking this journey.
Mhm.
And so, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you, and your willingness to do this with me, and how you are examining what joy means. Joy isn't just being happy at a point in time,
Right.
but really to me, joy is a full celebration, of emotion
Mhm.
and experience. And you're also getting introduced to a whole new group of really brilliant and talented people
Right.
who think enough of themselves and each other to share their treasure in this book.
Right.
So my food for thought is this is priceless. And the relationship that we have is priceless. And I am grateful to my parents, my ancestors of educators, for making reading and books so important.
Mm.
I told Mikey when we first started talking about this that at one point in time, a very popular, very bad joke was, how do you, hide something from a Black person?
Right.
And the answer was put it in a book. And that is horrible, and that is awful, and that is obnoxious, and that is so untrue. So we're here to make the best of it, the most of it. Appreciate this time we have to learn. So my food for thought is I love you and keep reading. What's yours?
My food for thought is, well, I love you too, but I also think that my food for thought is that this book will never be forgotten. Especially as it kind of, even if you aren't African American yourself or a male or, anything of that nature in this book, I think that it helps you experience more so of why we're also human, just like everyone else. And also you get to experience all of the different kind of cultures and everything that we get to experience, and kind of it just educates you more, even if you kind of just think it is a kid's book, a week of reading this book, I feel like it's so many memories that I have just reading it, and so many experiences that I kind of felt reading the book too. So, yeah.
Thanks for looking and listening. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Mikey.
Bye for now. Hi, I'm back, and I hope that you enjoyed our conversation. I know that every time I watch that, and of course, I'm his grandmother, I have watched it a number of times. I still continue to learn more from it and have great appreciation for that book and all of those wonderful authors. I want you to keep in mind something that I mentioned to how Mikey and I got to the place. Remember, it came from a conversation we had around reading. I really wanted him to get into more books outside of class. And so I explained to him the purpose and the privilege for us being able to read anything and everything we wanted, regardless of books being banned. But most importantly, that our history includes the worst case scenario for reading. And so it is now time for us to embrace that. I explained to Mikey that back in the day, there was a terrible joke and a point of view that stated, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. If you don't want them to find something, put it in a book. When I mentioned that to Mikey for the first time, he was outraged. He could not believe what an offensive thing to say. Most importantly, I explained to him that black people started to believe it too. So that is really the journey, and that's going to be the success in us making treasure not buried real. So I hope you continue to join us in this journey. And on our website, let us know if you would like to join in the conversation, but most importantly, in your own book that you'd like to share. See you next time.